Well, if you guys know anything about Kristi Noem, then you guys are going to want to hold your dogs tight. Hide your dog, hide your cat, hide your goat. Kristi Noem is killing everybody around here, okay? That's right, Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security under Trump, and the poster child of bad plastic surgery, has been exposed. Apparently, a new report has come out that follows a big investigation into the DHS, exposing mass corruption under Kristi Noem, under her oversight, and I haven't looked into this just yet, but we are all about to in just a moment. We're going to learn together. We're going to catch up on this. This literally came out today, by the way, like it's a few hours old, so we're going to be diving in together and finding out how deep the rabbit hole goes on the corruption of Kristi Noem's DHS. I hope you guys are excited to go down this rabbit hole with me. If you are, of course, leave a like and a comment on this video, hype it if you want to get it out there in the algorithm, and leave a sub if you want to see more from me in the future. But in the meantime, without any further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? I don't want to keep you guys waiting on this one. So, how corrupt is Kristi Noem's DHS really?
Today, ProPublica published quite a scoop about Trump DHS Secretary Kristi Noem that in any other era, I should say, would be a career-ending scandal.
Oh,
but to understand
okay.
the pattern of corruption of this woman.
Now, to be clear, I didn't know it would be this bad. I thought it would just be something, you know, in character with Republicans, bending the rules kind of thing. But all right, let's hope this isn't clickbait. MSNBC better not be clickbaiting me here. I'm gonna be triggered if they are.
We just have to zoom out just a little bit, just for a moment. Because since Noem took over DHS at the beginning of the year, she's become known for appearing to be more obsessed with putting on various costumes than doing her actual job. I mean,
that's a good way of putting it. She's more of a cosplayer than the leader of one of our most important institutions for enforcing the law and domestic safety and stability.
And she donned a bulletproof vest just to talk to her own agents. She wore a Customs and Border Patrol uniform on Fox News. And of course, she is constantly, and I mean constantly, throwing on a cowboy hat and riding horses. Always.
I mean, that's why we call her DHS Barbie. It's not just because of the plastic surgery, it's because much like a Barbie, you never see her wearing the same thing. Like, she literally wears different, like, Barbie box set outfits, you know? It's cowboy or cowgirl Barbie, it's Dr. Barbie, it's Surgeon Barbie, it's Fireman Barbie or Firewoman Barbie, you know, like, that's her thing. She's DHS Barbie. I still haven't seen the Barbie movie, but I've heard it's good.
With plenty of cameras around to capture the moment. But Noem's apparent obsession with image actually goes much further than just putting on costumes, because she has directed more than 200 million taxpayer dollars into TV ads to promote her work at DHS. And just to put it in context, that is nearly twice what DHS spent on ads altogether in all of last year. And the content of those ads have already been a scandal kind of in and of themselves.
I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for securing our border.
And if you were wondering who exactly the target audience is for that, DHS spent $30,000 to run that ad, the one I just showed you, specifically in the ad market where Mar-a-Lago is. Now, as much as spending tens of thousands of dollars to make sure your ad plays on the TV near the president is a bizarre waste of taxpayer money, $30,000, it turns out, is a drop in the bucket compared to the more than $200 million DHS has spent this year making and airing ads. And the rest of that money is where the story gets
That is, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of money. But I think to the average American, in a time where Trump is basically waving, or I guess like just kind of jiggling and shaking the idea of a stimulus payment in front of Americans' faces as they're unable to pay their bills, they're unable to buy food, they're going homeless in some cases, they're missing massive important payments, they're going into debt. Trump is like dangling a stimulus check as an idea, you know, like maybe a stimulus check in front of their faces. And meanwhile, the DHS is spending hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money during a government shutdown, mind you, because of course they specifically set it up so that the DHS would continue getting funded through the shutdown, spending hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, not on deporting immigrants, which is the thing that the right are in favor of with the DHS, but instead with recruitment ads and running advertising campaigns on social media and like social media PR runs and whatnot. It's like completely tone deaf. Once again, I think this is the recurring theme in a lot of the conservative rhetoric as of late, or I guess the conservative action and rhetoric from at least the politicians and the pundits. They're completely tone deaf and are completely disconnected from where the majority of Americans are standing right now, how they feel about the economy and about the country. They don't feel very confident about it, to say the least.
Truly bonkers. I mean, since March, we have known that DHS skipped the normal competitive bidding process when giving out the contracts to make and air these ads. DHS claimed that because Trump declared an emergency at the southern border, they didn't have to waste time getting competitive bids. And that brings me to the first part of ProPublica's big scoop today. Because it turns out that the majority of that no-bid contract money, 143 million taxpayer dollars, went to this kind of mysterious LLC in Delaware. An LLC that was created just days before it got that no-bid contract, just days. And the man who owns the home that LLC lists as its address did not respond to ProPublica's questions. Now, when asked why the agency chose that LLC, DHS said, quote, "The results speak for themselves," and then proceeded to claim that Trump has made the border the most secure it has been in American history. Now,
you know what's really blatant and kind of frustrates me about conservative rhetoric around immigration? I guess everything about it is blatant and frustrating, but what I've noticed is that the border issue is the big focus of a lot of these big Republicans, right? Specifically Trump, because it's largely non-impactful. Like, if we shut down any border crossings south of the U.S. border by foot, or shut down all asylum seeking, at the end of the day, the impact it would have on the economy and the impact it would have on the total amount of immigrants and illegal immigrants coming into America would essentially be unaffected. Even if we completely successfully stopped any and all immigration or illegal immigration south or coming from the southern border. Even then, it wouldn't actually affect the overall intake of immigrants into America, legal or illegal. Because as we've said many times, the vast majority of illegal immigrants, like the vast majority, like 80%, I believe, or 80+%, came into the country legally. When they entered through legal ports of entry with legal identification, and in no way was their entry and their staying initially against the law. Regardless of what administration, even during the Trump administration, they were coming here through legal immigration means, but because in a lot of cases we have timers on these things, they would run out the timer and then just not leave. Past a certain arbitrary date, they became illegals, but they didn't enter the country illegally. Which means if your actual goal is to stop the vast majority of illegal immigrants from entering the country, securing the border, quote unquote, and when they say this, they don't mean this in a broad sense, like secure the borders. They mean literally secure the southern border. They want to stop this imaginary fantasy of like families of Mexicans and other South Americans crossing the Rio Grande, whatever, into America by foot, or like climbing over the wall, or whatever it may be, or before that, the Bush border fence. They have this fantasy in their mind, and they want to stop that, but at the end of the day, that is essentially a fraction of the illegal entries, or the illegal immigrant entries into the country. And so, it's all symbolic. It would have no real effect on the actual immigration status in America. It would be largely unimpactful, but to racist Americans who want to cut off immigration, I think they were banking on a big wall and a shut down southern border, making them believe that immigration had stopped, or that they'd done something significant to stop the inflow of illegal immigration, and immigration in general. And I think they were banking on the idea that most conservatives had no idea that the vast majority of illegal immigrants are here overstaying visas. And obviously, I think Trump at this point now knows that his immigration policy will destroy the country. He's already walked back canceling H-1B visas and making those no longer a thing. Who knows how many more of his immigration policies he's going to walk back next.
Not exactly answering the question. So DHS gave a $143 million no-bid contract to a brand new LLC that no one seems to know anything about. That is obviously a scandal enough to begin with. Then there's this. This is an ad Kristi Noem shot on October 2nd, which, by the way, was the second day of the government shutdown. So while hundreds of thousands of federal workers went without pay, including the nearly 50,000 TSA workers that work under Noem, Noem donned a cowboy hat and had a production company film her riding horseback with buffalo. And whether or not you care about the very weird content of the ad.
Like, what's so sad about it is how hypocritical it is, because so much of the imagery in her ad is showcasing natural American beauty that the Republican Party is destroying in so many different ways, from, denying climate change to giving outs and loopholes for corporations to destroy the environment and get away with it, to literally the fact that they refuse to pay and often are doing mass firings of people in positions like park rangers. People who run our national parks are getting fired, and the national parks are now understaffed and undercared for. So things like these massive ranges of buffalo out in what remains of the Great Plains of the United States, these beautiful ranging mountains in the Dakotas and whatnot. Like, all this natural beauty, I mean, I don't know how long you expect it to look like it did in her ad when the administration she's shilling for is actively gutting the institutions in our government that protect these natural beauties, that people literally come to our country as tourists and spend their money here in order to come see, because it's world famous.
You should care about who made it. Because according to ProPublica's new reporting, that ad was made by a company called Strategy Group, which is run by a man who is not only the husband of Noem's chief DHS spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, yes, she's a something, but also has personal and business ties to Noem herself. And the company's name, Strategy Group, does not appear on any of the public documents about the contract. Instead, the group listed on the contract is the mysterious Delaware LLC that DHS gave that $143 million contract to. I should say that DHS said in a statement to ProPublica that it does all of its contracting by the book. Okay. But the office in charge of funding ad contracts at DHS is the Office of Public Affairs, which is run by none other than DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin.
There is some weird connections here. When you've got marital connections, that's a real conflict of interest. It's why traditionally marriage between coworkers and upper and lower positions at companies is often, if not heavily discouraged, outright disallowed. Because, you don't want to operate any kind of institution or business with a blatant conflict of interest present. I mean, even Republicans were willing to call this out at a time when it came to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton being Secretary of State. Well, I don't think she was serving, but she had served before, and then she ended up being Secretary of State under Obama, if I'm not mistaken. And I think she'd served as... I forgot what she was before she was Secretary of State. They were able to call out what seemed like a conflict of interest in that two people in relatively important or high-up positions in our government, President and Secretary of State, both married to each other. Maybe there's some, certain motivations there, certain loyalties there that go beyond loyalty to the country. People were willing to call that out when it was Democrats, but when it comes to Kristi Noem and this weird LLC that money's going into, that U.S. tax dollars are going into, and there's, weird connections by marriage involved with the people running, it's like, ooh, why are we not willing to call this out? All of a sudden, because it's Republicans, it's all good? We don't care?
And when she was asked about why DHS ended up using her husband's company, Strategy Group, to make that ad, she replied with this: "We don't have visibility into why they were chosen. I don't know who they're a subcontractor with, but I don't work with them because I have a conflict of interest and I fully recuse myself. My marriage is one thing and work is another. I don't combine them."
She literally admitted she has a conflict of interest. That is wild. That is literally the crazy... how... I hope she doesn't have a PR agent, because if she does, they need to be fired. Yeah, so you're going to want to admit to having a conflict of interest in your public statement? Idiot.
Well, Tricia, they seem pretty freaking combined right now, don't they? I mean, her husband, the CEO of Strategy Group, Ben Yoho, did not respond to ProPublica's questions. So not only did DHS give a $143 million no-bid contract to an unknown LLC, but that unknown LLC then hired someone tied to Noem, someone literally married to the Noem aide in charge of giving out DHS ad contracts. And believe it or not, this is not the first scandal about Noem and this company, the Strategy Group. See, back when she was governor, Noem's office hired Strategy Group to make these ads. Yet again, a lot of costumes going on here. This is Noem dressed as a state trooper or construction
worker.
Oh my
God. No, that's crazy. It's Office Barbie. It's Construction Barbie. It's State Trooper Barbie. It's Nurse Barbie. I did not realize how apt the DHS Barbie label was. Oh my God. She's a cosplayer at heart. God help us if anyone ever introduces Kristi Noem to anime. She's gonna be so insufferable about it. She's gonna be cosplaying all of the most basic characters. She's gonna be like, guys, look, I'm cosplaying Nami from One Piece. Look how original I am. What a horrific imagery I just put in your head, I bet. Kristi Noem cosplaying Nami from One Piece.
For a nurse, an accountant. Here's Noem dressed as an electrician, a welder, a dentist, and my favorite, a plumber. There were a lot of these ads, millions of dollars worth, paid for by...
She ends up, no, even more basic. Kristi Noem cosplaying Misa from Death Note. That's some real cursed brain rot I just put in your head.
South Dakota taxpayers. Those ads were the result of a bidding process, and the state says the process was done by the book.
She's an electrician now?
A former official from Noem's South Dakota governor's office has since alleged that the bidding...
Dude, this bitch has got more jobs than John FF14. What the fuck? Who she thinks she is? The Warrior of Light? How many job stones does this bitch got?
...process was rigged. The former official said that a top Noem aide told them the governor would be angry if Strategy Group didn't win the contract. And then contemporaneous text messages reviewed by ProPublica corroborated that account, showing that senior Noem administration officials pushing for Strategy Group to get the contract. There's all that. Noem, of course, denies those allegations.
Wait, no. Yeah, she's like Johnny Sins. Everybody knows of the hero Johnny Sins, the man who has been to space, saved millions as a paramedic, saved millions as a doctor, a biological researcher. He's been a fireman, a paramedic, a soldier. I mean, like everyone knows, the man of all trades.
I should note that MSNBC has not independently verified ProPublica's reporting. But if this reporting is accurate, and it's very detailed, and a company run by someone with personal and business ties to Noem herself has managed to score government contracts, huge ones, from Noem's agency with no bidding process and literally zero transparency, that should at least very much be a call for an investigation from somewhere, if not cause for Noem to be forced to ride off in the sunset on one of those horses.
I don't know. This is definitely pretty fishy. I do think there would be a massive investigation into this by the DOJ if it weren't for the fact that the DOJ is currently run by the very same sycophants that are running DHS, basically. You know, the same party, the same little circle. I guess we can only hope that at some point this MAGA civil war that's been going on is going to end up fracturing even those within our government institutions that are not meant to be political but have had partisan individuals put in charge of them. That's, I guess, I would say my best and highest hope right now. But that's really all I have to say about this. So if you like this video, leave a like down below. Leave a hype, comment if you want to help boost the video in the algorithm, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one.